tuning in to the Andrew Tate Show by GSMC Sports. I am your co-host, Sarah. Joining me, as always, is Tate, and we have a great show for you today. We'll be starting by covering the postponement of the Mike Tyson-Jake Paul fight, then moving to Trey Lance's future role with the Dallas Cowboys, how Title IX affects the allocation of the recent $20 million settlement, and then make sure you stick around for segments 4 and 5 when we will be covering record-breaking celebrity news and talking about The Rock and Eminem's new single. Before we start, I would like to remind you to like and follow the show. Also, we do get a lot of questions and comments that come in during the show. We would love to engage with those. The best thing you can do is to go to gsmcpodcast.net. You can leave a tip or a donation that ensures that your question goes to the top of our list, and making sure that we see it, and then we can, of course, engage with that question again at gsmcpodcast.net to leave a tip or a donation. Good morning, Tate.
Good morning, Miss Sarah.
How are you?
I am doing today.
Yeah. It's
been, things get a little crazy, so we've been super busy running around trying to, there's a lot of shows at GSMC. There's a lot of things that go on in the world of GSMC. So I have been running like a madman, but I'm excited to be doing the show.
I was going to say, time to make the donut. That shows my age.
Wow, that does kind of dates you a little bit, though.
It does, but it's weird, the things that stick in your brain from your childhood or from, like, couldn't tell you a current commercial, but I remember it's time.
Because that's the time to make the donut. That's Dunkin' Donuts.
Mm-hmm.
And it's weird. It's still weird to me when you think about that Dunkin' Donuts, their primary product isn't donuts. It's coffee.
Yeah, that's true now.
That's the weird one for me, is that their primary thing is coffee. If your name is Dunkin' Donuts, donuts should be the key. If you're Animal Planet, you should be showing shows about animals. MTV should be music television.
History Channel should be history.
Right, I know. I'm the old guy that's like, get the hell off my lawn. Got it.
Get off my lawn. Well, maybe talking about sports will help cheer you up a little bit.
Yeah, well, we're talking about old guys anyway, so let's dive into this thing.
All right. So our first segment, as I said, is the postponement of the Mike Tyson and I always get it wrong. Jake Paul. Logan Paul.
Not Logan Paul. Logan Paul, WWE. Jake Paul.
Jake Logan. I get their. I try to combine their names. Okay. The highly anticipated boxing match between YouTuber turned boxer Jake Paul and former world champion Mike Tyson, scheduled for July 20th at Arlington's AT&T Stadium, has been postponed due to Tyson's recent health issues. Tyson, 57, who had been officially sanctioned to fight professionally, has been advised by his doctors to reduce training following an ulcer flare-up. Tyson expressed disappointment, but noted his overall physical condition is the best it has been since the 1990s and plans to resume full training soon. This fight was set to be a major event at the home of the NFL's Dallas Cowboys, with Most Valuable Promotions and Netflix organizing the event. The rescheduled date is expected to be announced on June 7th. The fight card also included a rematch between light welterweight champion Katie Taylor and Amanda Serrano, which is likely to be rescheduled along with the main event. MVP has stated that both Tyson and Paul agreed it was important for both fighters to have equal preparation time to compete at their best. Tyson, whose professional career ended in 2005, last fought in an exhibition match in 2020. Paul, 27, with a professional record of 9-1, expressed his support for the postponement to ensure Tyson is fully prepared. Tyson's storied career includes being the first heavyweight to hold the WBA, WBC, and IBF titles simultaneously in 1987, though he lost his unified champion status in a shocking 1990 defeat to Buster Douglas. Despite his age, Tyson remains a significant draw in the boxing world. Paul, significantly younger and with a strong following, has built a name for himself by defeating several former UFC fighters. The postponement reflects the commitment to fair competition and the well-being of the athletes involved. So, I mean, it makes sense, and you want to be cautious and careful about health, but what do you think about this?
Okay, first thing, I'm going to make a correction. his record's 9-1, not 9-1. So it just a little slight change makes a difference for the fight fans out there.
I apologize. Okay.
So just and then the devil's in the details.
Okay.
Okay. So this is kind of why old people don't fight.
Well,
and you can say all you want. Well, this is an ailment that kind of happened, and it was an ulcer that flared up and things of that nature. That's what happens when you get old. You have ailments. It's your ulcer. It's your back. It's your hip. It's your knee. You know, and it's all these little things that kind of pop up that causes problems. So when I look at this and I think that the fight has been postponed, it makes me, I'm happy and worried at the same time. And the reason why worried is because the longer this fight goes on, the more likely something else will flare up. An injury will happen, and this fight will never take place. That's why I'm a little worried. You just want to wrap Tyson in bubble wrap so he can, you know, just get to the fight. That's like the ultimate goal, is just to get him to the fight.
He says he's in the best physical shape since the 1990s, which was 30 years ago.
Yeah, and the thing is, he can be in great shape, but that's not fighting shape. Until you get hit in the head a few times, then you realize, you know, what kind of situation you're in. Now, the positive on this is, like you said, Tyson said he's in the best shape of his life. But by postponing this, it does give Tyson even more time to get acclimated to the weight that he's walking around at. To take a break and rest his body before he starts back up again, which could actually help Tyson and make him a better fighter this to go around. There's a lot of people I've watched on some of the networks, and they're talking about this Tyson's versus a YouTuber. Tyson versus a YouTuber. He's not going to lose to a YouTuber. And that's the biggest mistake of them all. Jake Paul is not a YouTuber. He's been knocking fools out for a while now. You know, ask Tyron Whitley if he's a YouTuber, or Anderson Silva. Even Fury, who fought him to a split decision. See if they really think he's a YouTuber. He's a prize fighter. And he's a very serious prize fighter. And that's the thing that people need to take in consideration. Because I watch some of the shows, and these people are not giving Jake Paul a real shot. And I give him more than a shot. I have him winning. I have him beating him comfortably. I feel like the only way Tyson has a chance of winning is if he catches him early in the first couple of rounds. After that, I feel like Tyson's power diminishes. Now, I have said I am taking Jake Paul to win by knockout, actually, or more of a referee stoppage. But my heart, I want Tyson to win this. So postponing this makes it, I think, a little bit better as far as helping Tyson, as long as an ailment doesn't kick in. How long this delay is going to be is concerning as well, because there's a limited window on when this fight can be done. This is at AT&T Stadium, at Cowboys Stadium. And once you start rolling into getting closer to the NFL season and preseason, then they're going to have a problem with venues. So it has to be done before the NFL preseason for it to be at AT&T Stadium. So that's my overall thought, is that I'm worried about the date and how much time. But when you're looking at it and you say Tyson had an ailment, he had an ulcer, you don't see very many 19, 24, 28-year-olds. It's like, oh, I can't do my fight because I got an ulcer that flares up. You know, my arthritis in my hip is bothering me. That doesn't happen to young fighters, but it does happen to old men who are almost 60 who's trying to step in the ring again. And Tyson's no ordinary old man. I love Tyson. He's no ordinary old man, but he still are going to have old man element that's going to bother him.
Well, and to your point about the timing, it could be tricky because it was originally scheduled for July 20th. They're going to announce the new date on June 7th, but that's, you know, there's still going to be a lot of weeks in there before the fight actually happens. So yeah, I think it's hard to judge health-wise. Will he be healthy, or what else might happen?
A lot of things can happen when you're training. When you're training, even if you're hitting a bag, you can as an old man, you can dig a little too deep and mess up your rotator cuff.
You can sneeze and throw it back.
You can famously, Daniel Cormier sneezed, threw out his back, had to have back surgery. He was never the same again. Daniel Cormier, former UFC champion, just for those who don't know who he is. These elements happen when someone's an older fighter. So that's the reason why I am truly concerned about this, because I really want to see this fight. I've openly talked about how I am pulling for Tyson to win this fight. I would love to see it happen. I don't expect it to happen, but I am truly wanting this fight to happen and for Tyson to get lucky.
All right. Well, we just have to wait and see at this point. We are going to take our first break of this episode. When we come back, we will be talking, well, we were just talking about the stadium, so we'll be actually talking about the Cowboys and Trey Lance's role with the Cowboys. You are tuned into the Andrew Tate Show by GSMC Sports, and we will be right back.
I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign. I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign.
I wanna be the greatest. Everybody on the fake shit. I look around and feel like everybody is the fakest. I make this every day and I'm impatient, hoping one day I blow up from the basement. Statement, the top is so vacant. I don't hear shit that I think is amazing. Waiting for my day when I'm playing sold out shows for 1,000 faces. Hey, give me that crown, get in my way and to be put down. It ain't your place, all this my town. If I want that shit, then I'll get it right now. I'm losing it, the noose it fits. I'm losing shit, a stupid myth. You choose to live or choose to dip. You choose to fight or lose your grip and lose a gift.
I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign. I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind?
Welcome back to the Andrew Tate Show by GSMC Sports. We were just talking about the postponement of the Mike Tyson and Jake Paul fight. And now as we move into our segment 2, I do want to remind you that we do get a lot of questions and comments that come in to the show as we are airing. And so if you want to go to gsmcpodcast.net, you can leave a tip or a donation that will ensure that we see your question. It will put it at the top of our list, and we are happy to engage with those comments and questions. Again, that is gsmcpodcast.net. And now moving into our segment 2, the Dallas Cowboys head coach Mike McCarthy recently praised backup quarterback
You got Trey Mike Tyson up here right now.
Give me 1 second. All right, I thought I clicked off the right thing, but I did not. So hang in there. Too many T's in my... They're all T's. Look at that. Okay. Everything starts with a T. So the Dallas Cowboys head coach Mike McCarthy recently praised backup quarterback Trey Lance during the team's OTAs, sparking conversations about Lance's future role. Lance, competing with Cooper Rush for the backup position, did not see action last season, but has shown significant improvement. McCarthy highlighted Lance's growing understanding and mastery of the Cowboys' offensive system, indicating a potential shift in the quarterback hierarchy. Lance, a former first-round pick by the San Francisco 49ers in the 2021 NFL Draft, had his 2022 season cut short due to a broken ankle. Acquired by the Cowboys for a fourth-round pick, Lance is pushing for more reps, and his development has been noteworthy. McCarthy emphasized Lance's athleticism and improvements in his motion and timing, positioning him as a strong contender for the backup spot. Dak Prescott, the Cowboys' starting quarterback, praised Lance's work ethic and competitive push he provides. Prescott, who is negotiating a new contract, recognized Lance's potential to elevate his own performance. Cooper Rush, the current backup, also demonstrated his capability by leading the Cowboys to a 4-1 record while filling in for an injured Prescott in 2022. All three quarterbacks are set to become free agents after the 2024-25 season. While Rush has been reliable, Lance's youth and talent make him an intriguing option for the Cowboys' future. Team owner Jerry Jones might consider Lance as a long-term insurance plan, especially if Prescott's contract negotiations become complicated. The Cowboys plan to give Lance significant playing time during the preseason with matchups against the Rams, Raiders, and Chargers. This will be crucial for Lance to showcase his abilities and potentially attract interest from other NFL teams. As Lance continues to develop, the Cowboys' quarterback situation remains a dynamic storyline with implications for both the current season and the future. So, Tate, thoughts on three good prospects.
Well, okay. Cooper Rush, he's a longtime backup of the Dallas Cowboys. He did have a nice run when Dak was out, but Cooper Rush, you can't really talk about him as a potential starting quarterback for the Dallas Cowboys. Despite, I know Skip Bayless from another network thinks he can be, he's not even in the running, even though I think he's a very solid quarterback. So this whole story is, it's kind of positive. It's positive, but it's also, I worry that it's spin as well. When you look into the Dallas Cowboy camp, one, are they praising Trey Lance because of the fact that they have a negotiation with Dak Prescott, who can't be franchise tagged, he can't be traded, he's an outright free agent at the end of this year, and are they trying to put more pressure on him? Like, hey, we could go with Trey Lance if we don't go with you. As in hoping that that's enough to get him to sign a more Cowboy-friendly contract. Is this the plan for the Cowboys? Look, we ran with Dak for a long time. Dak's incredibly expensive. We have a lot of other really expensive pieces like CeeDee Lamb and Micah Parsons that we have to sign. Do we reset and go with the young quarterback and start over? And that's the thing that pops in my head is that the plan? Because I'm starting to feel that way, that this is Dak's last year, and they want to get a true look at Trey Lance before letting Dak leave. I don't think, to be honest with you, I don't think the Cowboys can sign Dak. That's the interesting thing, and here's the reason why. Dak's going to reset the quarterback market. Dak's going to be the highest paid quarterback in NFL history. Dallas Cowboys are going to have salary cap issues. There are going to be some teams that are going to be able to make a contract so big for Dak that the Cowboys can't match it. It's one of those things where you look at some of the teams and you're like, okay, one thing that people don't realize is you can carry some of the salary cap over. So making a situation where you make a very heavy front end contract for Dak makes it so Dallas cannot sign Dak. The Dallas will not be the highest bidder for Dak Prescott's services. So even if they want him back, I don't know if Dallas can bring him back. That's something that make sure you know, I am a Cowboy fan. So when you look at that, the only way I feel like Dak is coming back is if Dak truly wants to come back. Then maybe Dallas may not be the biggest contract offer, but Dallas will put out the biggest option, hoping that that's enough to sign him. Secondly, or thirdly, or fourthly, whichever one you want to look at that this way, I don't know. Is there a scenario where the Cowboys just look at Dak, look at what they've done the last few years with the weapons they put around them, Dak, the defense that they put out last year, and say, we're not going to bring him back. He's a very talented quarterback, but is he worth $60 million a year? When you can get a Trey Lance at, let's say, a $25 million a year. So you could give Trey Lance a prove-it deal, let's say like a 3-year, 4-year deal, $100 million, and make him the quarterback of the future. You could franchise tag Trey Lance. There's a lot of things that you can do with Trey that you will not have those options with Dak. And if it's going to be, Dallas is going to be contending for a playoff, but are they truly contending for a Super Bowl? I say less now than ever. I thought last year was the perfect opportunity where the offense, the defense, everything fit perfectly, with the exception of the running game. The running game was their Achilles heel last year, and it ended up costing them. This year, I look at the team and I say a lot less players, no Tyron Smith. Like I said, they lost eight players to free agency. They didn't bring any major free agents. The biggest free agent that they brought back in was Ezekiel Elliott, who was 400 years old. At running back, that doesn't make you think like the Cowboys running game has improved. They're not very deep at wide receiver. So I feel like Dallas has taken a step back, not moved forward. And if they're going to take a step back and they're not contending for a Super Bowl after this year, I could easily see the Jerry Jones looking at it and just saying, it's time to reset and step back. Not necessarily rebuild. It is time to reset. Reset with a new quarterback, with a more friendlier contract situation, and move on from Dak, who, one, his family hasn't been the biggest. They've been kind of openly negative toward the Cowboys and being a Cowboys, talking about his brother, talked about he was signing somewhere else, his mom, things of that nature. Family members, you hear this. If you're hearing this, what is the family saying to Dak? Dak may just want out. You could easily see a situation where the Cowboys may just want out with Dak, but divorce court feels like it's coming sooner than later. There's no real negotiating going on right now. It's kind of like on the Cowboys, we're going to wait and see. What are we going to get this year? And then we'll make that decision. So I don't look at it as a good thing. I do look at it as a good thing that Trey Lance, they're speaking very highly of Trey Lance, intentionally talking about how he's mastered the offense. That's a statement, that's coming in. You don't hear, oh boy, Cooper Rush, he's mastered the offense. Cooper Rush doing this. I feel like it's one of those things that teams do to have people start to understand what the future is. So when we make that move and we part ways with Dak, and you look around and Trey Lance is under center, you kind of understand this has been building. And so I do see this as a move that has been building.
Very important question for you, though. Is Ezekiel Elliott being 400 years old in football terms, older or younger than Mike Tyson in boxing terms, being 57?
Woo. Man. I'm looking at running back years are like that's dog years for sure. 1 year is 7 years for a running back. No, I'm saying that Ezekiel Elliott's older than Mike Tyson.
Okay.
I'm just flat out. I don't know how. I don't see Ezekiel Elliott as having much tread at all. I'm thinking that Deuce Vaughn's going to be the starting running back, and Zeke's going to be that short yardage and goal line type of back. That's my prediction, but I'm not quite sure what they're going to do. Royce Freeman is in there. Do they use Royce Freeman a lot more? Make where Royce is the regular back and Ezekiel Elliott is the short yardage back. These are things I'm more curious about, because if Dallas doesn't have a running game, Dallas is in trouble this year.
All right. Well, thank you for answering my very silly question with a very serious answer. We're going to take our second break of this episode. When we come back, we'll be talking about that $20 million settlement, more about that, how it affects Title IX and Title IX affects it. You are tuned into the Andrew Tate Show by GSMC Sports, and we will be right back.
Looking for your daily fix of sports talk without having to pay for it? GSMC Sports Network is available on YouTube. Just search GSMC Sports Network. Get your fix of daily sports talk shows on YouTube, absolutely free. NFL, college football, NBA, MLB, MMA, UFC, fantasy football, and so much more. GSMC Sports Network has shows running all day long, with new sports shows starting every 2 hours. Just like on your favorite cable sports channel, except GSMC Sports Network is absolutely free. Just search GSMC Sports Network on YouTube to catch one of your new favorite shows, like the GSMC College Football Podcast, Chip Shot Football Podcast, Hoops and Heels Women's Sports Podcast, GSMC Basketball Podcast, and so many more. Check it out for yourself. GSMC Sports Network, now available on YouTube, absolutely.
Welcome back to the Andrew Tate Show by GSMC Sports. In the first segment, we talked about the postponement of the Mike Tyson-Jake Paul fight. Last segment, we were talking about the Dallas Cowboys and Trey Lance's role, Dak Prescott's role, etc., how all of that might shake out. And now moving into this third segment, we are moving on to college sports and that recent settlement. And let me just get things set up quickly. And during the recent SEC spring meeting, a major topic of discussion among chancellors and coaches was the allocation of a $20 million settlement. The settlement has sparked a debate over how to distribute the funds in a manner that aligns with both the financial priorities of the conference and the legal requirements of Title IX. Title IX is a federal civil rights law that was enacted as part of the Education Amendments of 1972. It prohibits sex-based discrimination in any school or any other education program that receives federal funding. For college athletics, Title IX mandates that men and women have equitable opportunities to participate in sports and that scholarship allocations, treatments, and benefits are also equitable. At the heart of the SEC's discussion is whether to split the $20 million settlement evenly between the men's and women's sports or to allocate a larger portion to football and divide the remainder among other sports. This debate is not just about finances, it's about compliance with federal law and ensuring that the spirit of Title IX is honored. Proponents of an equal split argue that doing so would directly support the principles of Title IX, ensuring that female athletes receive comparable opportunities and resources as their male counterparts. An even distribution would promote gender equity, potentially funding improvements in facilities, coaching, and scholarships for women's sports, which are often underfunded compared to men's programs. On the other hand, some argue that a larger allocation to football is justified due to the sport's significant revenue generation and high operational costs. Football programs often serve as the financial backbone for many athletic departments, and investing heavily in football could yield returns that benefit the entire athletic department, including women's sports. This perspective suggests that by strengthening football, the overall financial health of the athletic program can be improved, potentially leading to more resources for all sports over time. The SEC faces the challenge of balancing these financial realities with legal obligations. Title IX compliance is non-negotiable, and any perceived inequity in fund distribution could lead to legal challenges and reputational damage. However, the financial pressures and competitive nature of college football necessitates substantial investment to maintain and enhance program quality. Several potential solutions could address this dilemma. One approach could be to allocate a significant portion of the settlement to football, but ensure that the remaining funds are used in a manner that directly benefits women's sports. This could include targeted investments in women's sports facilities, scholarships, and recruitment efforts. Another solution might involve setting aside a portion of the funds to establish endowments for women's sports, ensuring long-term financial support. This approach could provide a sustainable funding model that supports gender equity over time. How the SEC resolves this issue could set a precedent for other conferences facing similar financial decisions. The outcome will be closely watched by athletic departments nationwide, legal experts, and advocates for gender equity in sports. The decision will also reflect on the SEC's commitment to both compliance with federal law and the promotion of fair and equitable treatment of all student athletes. Tate, as we've said before, things just keep getting more and more complicated in college sports. Talk about this latest meeting and the conversation around Title IX.
Okay, first I want to get a little clarification on a couple of things. When you hear the word settlement, it's kind of like, oh, they got a nice settlement that came in. No. This isn't some like Daddy Warbucks came in and dropped some cash on you. This is the settlement that the NCAA has had with the lawsuit for name, image, and likeness for the players who played in the past but were not eligible to make money with their name, image, and likeness. And so the settlement has been, so I forget how many, it's like a $2 billion settlement that was out there. But part of that agreement is that each university needed to set aside $22 million for paying players going forward. So players can start making money and getting paid on a regular basis going forward. So there's not a financial windfall here. It is just more of a financial requirement that each university needs to have. Now, with that being said, that $22,000, when you start thinking about that and you're figuring out how are you going to divide that money up? Title IX is the one thing that I'm very curious about, because with Title IX, it needs to be fair and equitable split here, meaning half should go to men, half should go to women. So does that mean you split that 22 and it's 11 for men's sports and 11 for women's sports? Financially, you can't. It's just, I don't know any university that would be willing to do that. Football generates so much revenue. Football is so important. And so, but then you look at, people are wondering, okay, can we take like an 80-20 split where 80% of the money goes to the football program, and then 20% is divided up, 10 for the women, 10 for the men, where it's an equal split that way. Well, my concern is when you sit down, if someone challenges this and takes it to a judge, and you look around that and you say, okay, this is the way we split this up. We took 80% to the football program because that's super important. And then we divided it 10 and 10 for men's sport and women's sports. Well, you don't have to be a mathematician to look at this and say, hey, 90% of the money went to the men and 10% went to the women. And there's where you're going to have some problems there. I could see someone really throwing a lawsuit against that. So, because it would not be fair and equitable to say, yes, there was $22 million set aside, but 90% of that went to the men. How do you look at that and say that's fair and equitable? Because it's not. So that's the interesting thing on what kind of pitfalls will universities run into, because at some point someone will look at that and be like, the math isn't mathing. You can't tell me that by giving us 10% of the money, we are fair and balanced between men and women's sports. That's the thing that's very curious. Now, the way some people are, and there's no clarification. The universities are asking for clarification. That's one of the things that's been coming up that came up at the SEC meetings, was people were trying to figure out, like, hey, can we do this? Because I could see it going this way, or I could see it going that way. And no one truly has an answer right now. And some universities are looking at it as, let's say, if we took, we set up endowments and we did this, this, and this, and this to make it so it balances out, and set up scholarships for every scholarship that's given by the men, the women get an equal scholarship. That looks like the biggest, like, to make the most sense is to even out the scholarships there, because using that 22 million, I think it's going to be an issue. With that being said, that's a tough hurdle. But football, as an athletic director, football is priority number one. College basketball is priority number two. And football is going to eat up a lot of this. For major universities, for the Alabamas and the Georgias, the Texases and the Oregons of the world, not as hard. But when you start going down to some of the smaller universities, or the universities that are not making huge chunks of cash, the cows of the world, the Boise States, the Montana universities of the world. When you start looking at that and you're trying to make it fair and balanced, they're going to run into some issues. And I don't know what the real answer is, because this settlement merely gave a solution on this is what we should happen. 22 million set aside to pay players, but there was no real cut guidelines. There was no, hey, this is how we settle it. This portion goes here. This portion settles with Title IX. I feel like that's been the issue with college football this whole time. They make short-term solutions that don't solve the long-term problem. The long-term problem is college football is a big monster, and it's growing, and it's a big money winner. And eventually, college football is going to either have to spin off on its own, and then let college sports run, the rest of college sports run together with Title IX can fit in there. Something has to be done to address this, because eventually it's going to happen. There's been a lot of, with college football, just kick the can down the road, and hopefully we'll find a new solution later. And it doesn't seem like college football ever really finds a new solution.
It does seem that things get more complicated and less clear. There's no clear-cut answers, and everything, especially now when we are seeing so many different types of lawsuits and things happening with legal action. You want to be very careful in terms of something like Title IX, because it is federally mandated.
Right, and Title IX could be that's the one that could really shake things up. Because like there is no true, instruction manual, exactly word for word. This is the way it's supposed to be. This is the way it has to be. And when you have a vague ruling like this, when it's vague, different universities are going to interpret things differently. As they start interpreting things differently, one university is going to look around and say, well, I looked over and Georgia's taking 80% and giving other men 10%, in this school 10%, but then not realizing or not even noticing that, yeah, Georgia didn't put in, you know, more scholarships for women, endowments, increase funding to, you know, for infrastructure for women's sports. They've done all these other things. A lot of times some universities don't realize that. And so bigger universities may figure out how to make it fair and equitable, where other ones just look at, okay, this is what they did. They took 80% and took it to football. We're going to take 80% and turn it to football and just leave the rest alone, and not seeing that there's some additional funding that is going from the budget to take care of the women's sports and the other Olympic sports. That's where not having a playbook that gives you clear directions, there's a problem there.
In some ways, it leaves it open to creativity and interpretation, but that can lead.
Well, when you're talking,
you never know.
And you're talking about it leads to creativity and interpretation. There's very few universities are going to say, you know what, I'm going to get creative and I'm going to figure out how to get more women, more sport, more money to the women. When you're looking around and only the football team's making money, everyone else is costing us money.
Yep.
Or the men's basketball and the men's football team, that's the only one making us money. There's a lot less motivation to say, let's get creative and take care of the women. And that's what I'm most concerned about.
Absolutely. We are going to, on that note, we are going to take our next break. When we come back, we'll be switching to celebrity news, although it's a good segue because it's The Rock. So, you know, you've got still little sports, little athlete, but also entertainment and celebrity news. You are tuned into the Andrew Tate Show by GSMC Sports, and we will be right back.
For the best and latest podcasts available anywhere, go to the podcast app on your cell phone and type in GSMC to access free content-rich podcasts on health and wellness, book reviews, sports, entertainment, relationships, social media, movies, technology, finance, and even weird news. Subscribe and download the GSMC Podcast Network's family of shows, available everywhere podcasts are found.
Welcome back to the Andrew Tate Show by GSMC Sports. We are moving into our celebrity segments of today's episode and talking about The Rock, who, of course, Dwayne Johnson, The Rock, is considered a trailblazer of two industries based on the numerous strides he's made in pro wrestling and in Hollywood. In a recent social media post, Johnson revealed that the Guinness Book of World Records has now recognized two more of his impressive achievements. Taking to X, Johnson revealed that the Guinness Book of World Records has confirmed the veteran pro wrestler as both the, quote, most followed actor on TikTok and the most followed American man in the world. He writes, Cool stuff setting at GWR, most followed actor on TikTok, most followed American man in the world, he wrote. Not too bad for a pimply-faced kid with an afro who grew up to become famous only for wearing a fanny pack and raising an eyebrow. I've always asked, what's the key to having real power and influence in social media? Speak directly and shoot from the hip. Be real and be authentic. Be kind and be good to people. Share the lessons you've learned, good and bad. Laugh at yourself. Don't get pulled into negative sludge and never contribute to toxicity. Laugh at yourself some more. And always remember the golden rule. It's nice to be important, but it's more important to be nice. P.S. and drink tequila. Coming off a strong WWE WrestleMania 40 performance, it seems like Johnson is on a roll. Currently, the star is filming his next movie, The Smashing Machine, which is set to be released later this year. If the film ends up being a hit, 2024 could be one of the most successful years for Johnson in recent years.
The name Smashing Machine, that doesn't sound good, though. That doesn't sound like, oh yeah, I gotta go see the Smashing Machine.
It could be so many different things, though. Like that could be a lot of different. that could be a lot of different types of movies. Let me just say.
Okay.
What do you think about The Rock and his?
That's impressive. That he is the most followed man on the planet is amazing. It's not LeBron. It's not Ronaldo. It's not the Pope. It's not President Biden or Donald Trump or Vladimir Putin.
Well, to be clear, he's the most followed American man in the world.
Okay. Okay. I'm like, what?
The most followed actor on TikTok. So actor specifically on TikTok.
Okay.
The most followed American man in the world. So I think
I'm like, whoa, wait a minute. That's impressive if he's the most followed man on the planet.
I don't know if they have them for each country. Is there the most followed German man in the world? The most followed I don't know.
I'm just curious if the Pope is updating his X account. No, I want to see if the Pope is doing it himself. He's in the Pope mobile and he's over there. He's doing his TikToks. I want to know if you love me TikToks and everything. Yeah, I like it. Still impressive. Very. Listen, I am not the most followed man in my house, let alone. And I'm the only guy in my house.
Hey, who is the most followed man in your house? Aren't you the only one?
Listen, the dogs actually got more followers than I do, so it's just one of those things where it's just kind of like that. It is impressive. This is even more impressive because I was worried that The Rock made a misstep. This year, I was truly concerned. The Rock turning heel for WrestleMania was a shocker to me because he is such a baby face and he's like the ultimate baby face. And for him to turn to and be a heel and really sell it hard. And it ended up being, it was huge. And The Rock and Cody Rhodes and how big that was. And then Cody finally beating Roman Reigns, ending Roman Reigns' reign as champion. But then The Rock leaving, but dropping the little nugget that he's coming back and he's going to be settling it up with Cody. That is a risky move, calling himself the final boss. These are all things that could go wrong and hurt someone's popularity whose livelihood depends on being popular and loved. If they don't like you, they're not going to go to your movies. There's many of actors who kind of fell out of favor with fans, and so did their movies. You can't buy
it's hard in today's cancel culture is real, so any missteps and people can turn on you quickly. Absolutely. So the fact that The Rock was able to turn heel, do a lot of heelish things, and still walk out of that as still the most followed American on the planet is unreal and is amazing. Speaking of not tying together, but a little different, is Will Smith going from his situation, as everyone around the world knows about him and his altercation with Chris Rock. And I thought that was going to be the end of Will Smith. And Will Smith has come back, and I'm super jacked over the fact that they're having the Bad Boy series. I'm not getting a sponsorship for it right now, so but I would love to have it because that is one of my favorite series of all time. I will be at the theater watching the next Bad Boy. But looking at how The Rock and how Will Smith, these two guys, have kind of managed to make it through and still be clean and popular and loved is impressive, especially
with The Rock trying to be turning to a heel, and Will Smith and all the things that happened with Jada, and then leading to the Chris Rock altercation. Like, I'm doing that, but avoiding saying things like, yeah. So
I can't even interject because I don't quite know what exactly you're avoiding. So I don't want to say the wrong thing.
Well, you know
I know what you're referring to, but
yes.
I don't know what words you're trying to avoid. So
my words are very colorful.
Yes.
Yes. But both of these guys have really come through and came out on the other side just as popular, and it's amazing. And I remember The Rock coming in as a wrestler, and people were chanting "Rocky sucks" and all this stuff. And now look at him as where he's gone is truly, truly impressive.
This is still on topic, but veering away from what you were just talking about. I don't know a lot of the history of the Guinness Book of World Records. I know it's been around for a long time, but I'm thinking about my brother had a copy of one of the years when we were kids, and flipping through it and seeing, what records were in there. They're definitely evolving with the times, because most followed actor on TikTok, most, that's good that they aren't just stuck in trying to stick with the same old records. They seem like they're evolving and creating new records all the time.
But wait a minute. I feel like, who makes these records up?
That's the question.
Because
history.
It could be like, format. I'm the person who's written on the most Post-it notes and threw them in the trash, and that's in the new Guinness Book of World Record. You know what I mean? It's like, come on, give me something. How do you put something in the Guinness Book of World Record so it gets qualified? This is
something I need to look up, apparently.
Yeah, or the most followed man in America. Do you break it, like you said? Are they breaking it down by country? Is there a Guinness Book of World Record, the most popular man, most followed man in Swaziland? You understand what I mean? I don't know. Are you the most followed individual in South Korea? North Korea would be more fun, though.
What do you get when you win a Guinness Book of World Records? Do you get a trophy? Do you get a plaque? Do you get
you don't get I don't think you get squat.
You just get your name in that year's Guinness Book of World Records.
I don't know if that really pays that much. Because I think it'd be more people breaking records if it came with a check.
People are always trying to break something, though. Like, the most people standing on one leg for the longest time. I don't know. There's all kinds of people always seem to be trying something.
Put me down for the record for a person spending the most cash by the Guinness Book of World Record gives me money. I'll keep spending it. Put me down for that one. Okay. So.
All right. Well, we'll see if we can get that added.
Yeah, I don't foresee that happening.
That's your homework, is finding out how you get something into the Guinness Book of World Records, a new category.
All right.
All right, we're going to take our final break of this episode. When we come back, new records, but this time with a new single by Eminem. So we'll be talking about that. You are tuned into the Andrew Tate Show by GSMC Sports, and we'll be right back. Welcome back to the Andrew Tate Show by GSMC Sports. Before the break, we were talking about The Rock and his new records in the Guinness Book of World Records. We were talking about how you get into the Guinness Book of World Records, how those new categories get created. But we are moving on to Eminem, of course, an iconic rapper who is back with a new single called Houdini, which has taken the music world by storm. This release marks the first track from his upcoming album, The Death of Slim Shady, or Coup de Grace. In true Slim Shady fashion, the song not only references his past hits, but also delivers a powerful performance reminiscent of his earlier work. Upon its release, Houdini topped charts globally. On iTunes, it reached the #1 spot in over 17 countries, including the US, UK, and Canada. On Apple Music, the track achieved top positions in the UK, Canada, and the US. Additionally, it debuted at #3 on the global Spotify charts with 7.85 million streams, and #4 on the US charts with over 2.97 million streams, making it one of the biggest debuts of the year. The music video for Houdini quickly became the most viewed video on YouTube within its first 24 hours, amassing over 13.5 million views and 1.3 million likes. The video creatively merges elements from Eminem's classic Without Me video, featuring both his younger and older selves, along with cameos from notable figures like Dr. Dre, 50 Cent, Snoop Dogg, and Pete Davidson. Eminem's clever marketing campaign, which included a magician-themed cover art and a collaboration with magician David Blaine, has built significant anticipation for the album. The campaign also featured a fake obituary for his alter ego, Slim Shady, emphasizing the theme of transformation and rebirth. As Eminem gears up for the release of The Death of Slim Shady, Coup de Grace, Houdini sets a high bar, showcasing his enduring relevance and the ability to dominate the charts. Fans and critics alike are eagerly awaiting what may be one of the most impactful albums of his career. Hey, this song has been stuck in my head for a couple days. How about you?
This song is bumping. This is one of the best songs. Like, it's already one of my all-time favorite Eminem songs. And it's kind of weird. As you were reading this and talking about this, I'm like, holy crap, am I old?
Speaking of old, it's been a theme of today.
Think about this. I want you to think about this. I am going 6 different decades I've been listening to hip-hop. Do you understand that?
Mm-hmm.
Now I'm only 54, but I'm hitting 6 decades.
Yep.
In the late 70s, I remember as a little kid, just coming out and listening to Grandmaster Flash and the Furious Five and Houdini and all that as a kid, going into breaking and Run DMC, and then rolling into, Public Enemy, which I was a huge Public Enemy fan. My all-time favorite group, NWA, rolling all the way into now, Nicki Minaj and Megan Thee Stallion, all these guys. And I've been listening to hip hop this whole time. And people get upset with me when I say this. I truly believe Eminem is the best and greatest rapper we've had.
I should have worn pearls. Clutch them.
I know. And that makes people angry when you say that. I think he's the most talented rapper to come through. I've been from the start. I am one of the original listeners of hip hop from the 70s all the way to today. I've never veered away from my hip hop. I love my hip hop. And Eminem is just a different kind of guy. His number, the numbers that this new album's gonna do. I mean, the fact that it debuted right off the top at #1 in so many. How many did you say? 17 countries.
17 countries. Yep.
17 countries.
On iTunes.
Talk about the global impact of Eminem. And this album, with this song being so popular and getting off to such a huge hit, this album's going to be huge. I could see this album talk about Guinness Book of World Records. This is an album that's going to set some records. So it's going to put up some massive numbers. And you don't see this. There's not a lot of rappers that come alone, you know, and stay 3 decades. I remember, you know, listening to Eminem in the 90s and the 2010s. And now it's the 2020s. And he has the #1 hip hop album in the world right now. And it shows a guy who is mega talented, super relevant, and you know, they were talking about Gen Xers claiming,
Just gonna bring that
and millennials claiming. Everyone wants to claim Eminem as part of theirs. I love it. It was kind of cool because it was more of a flash. The video, the song is bananas, but the video just takes you back because you start thinking about that old Slim Shady stuff, or the video with Dr. Dre and him when he pulls out the when he pulls out the Robin mask and the Robin outfit, and Dr. Dre's looking at him like, "What the heck's wrong with you?" And you forget, like, man, some of the things that he says. People are talking about he's gonna get canceled. You're not canceling Eminem because the only way you can cancel somebody is they gotta care. Eminem doesn't care. Dave Chappelle doesn't care. You're not gonna cancel those kind of guys. Eminem's gonna say what he wants, how he wants to say it, and it works. The entire day I saw the song, saw it because, you know, the video, and man, been bumping it in my head on repeat ever since then.
It's playing in my head.
And that's the thing that Eminem can do.
But also, I mean, the sample, the abracadabra sample, is like,
you know what?
That's very nostalgic for our generation. And then, so yeah, it's really interesting on social media watching Gen X claim him and millennials claim him because millennials grew up listening to him. Gen X, you know, he is kind of that age, so they're claiming him. And it's like a fight over, it's okay, there's enough Eminem, we can all.
And who thinks about, you know what, I'm gonna make me a beat. I'm gonna loop in some abracadabra. Come on, what? If you'd have told me, hey, it's 2024 and you're going to be singing abracadabra in your head, it'd be like, you are nuts. Now, that song's going to be doing well. Watch, that song's going to hit the charts as well. Eminem's on the charts. That shows the power and the relevance of Eminem. I'm very curious with that beat because that beat is so amazing. Did Dr. Dre produce that beat? Because anytime you put Eminem and Dr. Dre, they're in the video together. But anytime you mix Eminem and Dr. Dre with Dr. Dre's beat, it is always just unreal. And you know, old NWA head here. So we still claim Dr. Dre.
It's also interesting that with this album we're killing off Slim Shady. I mean, that alter ego has been around for decades, and I do remember reading whether it was a few months ago or a few weeks ago, time is relative, about that obituary that they put out, the death of Slim Shady, and I thought, okay, well, that's clearly leading to something.
No, I didn't even know about it. I had no clue about that. I just saw this. I just was flipping through my TikTok and that song came on and I'm like, whoa. I went back and watched it again and again and again. And I don't even know how many times I've watched it. And I'm like, phew.
Can I just say though that no matter how long Eminem has dark hair, I still don't recognize him without that bleached blonde. That's just how old I am. Like,
no, you're not wrong.
I'm watching the video and I'm like, no, that's Eminem. This dude over here, don't know who this is.
It is weird. It's still weird seeing him with the dark hair. I'm used to seeing him with the dark hair, so I've seen him a million times with the dark hair and the hat. That's his look. But Slim Shady with the blonde hair, that's just kind of works. It's like Michael without the curl. You gotta have it. You know, it's like Prince without the bouffant.
vocab.
You know, there's certain things that's just programmed in your head. Prince is gonna be wearing a blouse. You know, there's gonna be a blouse, there's gonna be some ruffles, and there's gonna be some lace. If you're talking about Prince,
Probably some platform heels.
yes, that is just certain things go with these guys. But man, Eminem, he did it this time. This is one of my favorites.
All right. Well, I think that's a happy note to conclude on. I'm gonna be running around singing that all day, probably all week, and probably you will be as well.
I'm gonna be bumping it, absolutely.
All right. Well, thank you for tuning in to the Andrew Tate Show by GSMC Sports. Your support means a lot to us. So please remember to like and subscribe to the show. Also leave us a positive review. That really does help. You can also follow the podcast on social media, Facebook, X, Instagram, and TikTok for more updates and contents. Thank you again for joining us, and we hope that you have a wonderful rest of your day.
Peace.
Let's go. I wake up to a little bit of drool on my pillow, feel like it's gonna be a bad day. Yeah, I'm tired of shit, and the coffee ain't hit yet. Damn, ain't that great. I don't wanna go to